Hi guys, Lisa Edwards of Exclusive Career Coaching here. And today we're going to talk about how to get a promotion at work. Hey, I've got this thing sitting in my lap today, so I'm going to try to be as still as I can so it's not bobbing around. So how to get a promotion at work, how to get that internal promotion. I've got my top tips for you. Number one, you have to do a great job in the job you're at. And this sounds so basic, but I've seen so many people who felt like they were underemployed, that they weren't working at the level that they wanted to. And so while they were politicking with their boss to get a promotion, they weren't doing a good job. They figured that job was beneath them and they weren't making the effort that they needed to make. So rule number one to get a promotion at work, especially an internal promotion, is you have to do a great job at whatever they give you to do, even if you feel like it's beneath you. Number two, you've got to be seen as a team player. Lone wolves don't go far in today's workplace. So what does that look like? Well, it means helping other people out when they need you, asking for help when you need it, being friendly or at least cordial with the people you work with, and just interacting with them on both a professional and a personal level. Number three, you have to be dependable. So it doesn't matter how great a job you do, if you are undependable in doing it, if you're kind of hit or miss, sometimes you pull through and sometimes they can't count on you, that will be a huge red flag to the hiring manager to think about giving you a promotion. So you've got to be consistent in providing excellence. Number four, I highly recommend that you get noticed throughout the organization. So it's really easy to be great within the walls of your department, but when you have an opportunity to show your stuff beyond the walls of your department, that's how you really become eligible for promotions, particularly if you want to be promoted into another department of the organization. So this might look like volunteering for some sort of committee. It could mean doing some sort of volunteer work with others from other areas of the company. It can mean a lot of different things. You're going to have to look into that for your company. But if you could have a goal of, hey, I want to do one thing a year that really gets me outside of my department, that's going to help. Number five, you want to volunteer. So I kind of talked about that a little bit in the last bullet point, but what can you do to volunteer within your company, volunteer in the community with other employees to get recognized? Number six, continue to develop professionally. One of the worst things that you can do for your promotability is to be seen as someone with stagnant or outdated skill sets. So remain current in your field. And if your aspirational job is in another kind of area or would require further education or credentials than you currently have, then get them. You don't want that to be the excuse that they give you for not promoting you. Number seven, create a brag file. This can be a computer file or a paper file, and it may be that you need both, but you're keeping recommendations, commendations, performance evaluations, synopses of projects that you've led or been on, all of those kinds of things, so that you will have evidence when time comes to support your promotion. It will also be very helpful for updating your resume and your LinkedIn profile. Number eight, you want to let your boss know that you're interested in promotion. You have to walk very carefully on this, because depending on the company, the promotion may be your boss's job. And so you have to figure out how to navigate that. And that's something I certainly saw in my career in higher education, because higher education is often not very focused on career ladders. And so when someone came in and said they wanted a promotion in my department, it meant they wanted my job, which I wasn't willing to give them. So you have to kind of look at the circumstance, but you do want to let your boss, or maybe it's appropriate to let another boss in another department know that you're interested in working in their area and in a promotion into their area. And then number nine, you want to ask your boss or that other boss, what is the criteria for promotion? So whomever you have that conversation with, you want to be you want to get very clear on what would it take. So let's say you want to be promoted into an entry-level manager position. How will you evaluate me on that? What's the criteria for success? Because what you're essentially doing is saying, give me the roadmap and I will follow it. And then it makes it very easy then when the time comes to apply for that position to show your boss or the other boss that you have met all of their criteria for the promotion that you're wanting. So those are my top 9 tips. I also want to give you some tips on internal applying, some shortcuts I see people taking for internal promotions that they shouldn't be taking. And number 1, you want to make sure that you complete the application process. Really think about if you're tempted to cut a corner or put, see something, just any kind of a shortcut. Would I do this if I were applying externally? And if the answer is no, then don't do it internally either. So be just as complete and thorough as if it were an external promotion or an external position. Number 2, you want to make sure that your resume is geared towards an internal promotion. I'm actually working with a client right now who's seeking a senior level position in her company. And so a lot of the work that we've done is around making sure that she is positioned as the internal expert, not as a know-it-all, but as the internal expert who already knows the company culture and has a track record of success in the company. So an internal resume should look different than an external resume. Number 3, this kind of gets back to what I was just saying. You want to be seen as an insider, but not a know-it-all. So you want to position yourself throughout the process. And I find that interviews, for example, are very difficult for internal candidates. They feel very awkward. And I think if you sort of follow the acid test of, am I positioning myself as an insider with inside knowledge and not as a know-it-all, then I think you're going to strike the right chord. Number 4, take advantage of your internal references. People know you in that company. Hopefully people think you're great in that company. Utilize them, leverage them, have them write for you, have them be willing to be a verbal recommendation for you, have them put a recommendation on your LinkedIn profile, whatever is appropriate to your situation, but utilize those internal references. And then finally, oh wait, I've got 2 more. Follow the same job search protocol as you would as an external candidate to include thank you notes and just those common courtesies that you might be tempted to overlook as an internal candidate. And then finally, you want to meet with your boss first, or if it is in another department, meet with that boss first. And you want to ask them, will I be a serious contender for this position? Am I a serious contender for this position? Would I be considered a serious applicant? You can massage that question any way you want to, but you're kind of forcing that other person to give you a yes or no. Pay attention to what that person says, but also what they don't say, and also their nonverbal cues to really get a sense, because here's what's going to happen. If you apply, you have to kind of think through worst case scenarios here. If you apply and don't even get a first interview, are you okay with that? Will you be able to move on in the company that way? Or is that going to damage your thoughts to the point where you can't be an effective employee? What if you get all the way through to the final round and you're not selected? Now you're going to be working under this person, external probably, candidate who was chosen over you. Can you live with that? And that's going to really just, kind of guide your decision. But I will tell you that most often what I've seen is when someone is in the process, and particularly if they're taken past that kind of initial round of interviews and they don't get the job, they almost always leave the employer. It's just very awkward for them. The new candidate is probably going to know that they were a contender for the job. That creates a really difficult working environment. And sometimes it's hard for you to get over the thoughts about that. So I hope these give you some ideas on how to get positioned for an internal promotion and how to actually apply. So hey, if you want to take this work further, you can always make an appointment with me and schedule a free consult call. My calendar can be found at www.timetrade.com/book/D6KLN. We will have 30 minutes together where I'm going to ask you some really deep questions, and you'll have an opportunity to tell me about your current situation. And I promise you'll get at least 2 really great tips to take you to the next level in either your job search or your career. That URL again is www.timetrade.com/book/D6KLN. I also encourage you to find me on Instagram at Lisa, LESA.Edwards. I'm on Facebook at Exclusive Career Coaching, and you can find me on LinkedIn with Lisa Edwards, LESA. So I hope this has been super helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.